welcome back to the show. It is still the AM Weekend Show. My name is Divine Onoha, and I'm still here with Ogochukwu Osai. How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
How's it been so far?
It's been good.
I mean, we've just, I think we've finished this jam matter. We have finished it. There's
Let's end it here.
Let's end it here. So I don't get more frustrated than I already am. But it's a good thing they admitted their error at the end of the day. But moving away from jam, please. Today is World Hypertension Day. And we have just been joined in the studio by Pharmacists Ola Onunka. Welcome to the show, man.
Thank you
Welcome to the show.
You look very beautiful, man.
Thank you.
Yes,
What color is this? Is this sea green, sea blue?
You tell me.
No, I'm not sure.
It's not part of
It's like-
the sea. I'm trying
it's not
to
sea?
It's not in the sea.
You know, green has a lot of shades.
Yeah,
so
a lot of shades.
But it's beautiful.
But it's beautiful.
Thank you.
More like turquoise.
Something
Am I
that,
getting-
let's leave this color thing. It's not our thing, please.
We're trying to learn, Ogochukwu, learn. Anyways, away from colors, away from jam, but now we have something very important to talk about. Today is World Hypertension Day.
Yeah.
And hypertension has been called, it's often called the silent killer.
Yeah.
And we've also seen that it has been the major sponsor behind various deadly diseases.
Yeah.
Sometimes someone dies or slumps and, you know, you're thinking it's this, and by the time you check, you find out hypertension somehow has something to do with it.
Yeah, sure.
So we want to find out exactly what is hypertension, what are the causes, but we'll begin with what is hypertension, please.
Okay, hypertension, or more like high blood pressure, is when the blood pressure is above 120 over 80 millimeter mercury. And when you say 120, 120 stands for the systolic. You know, when the heart beats, the heart pumps blood around the system to take nutrients and drugs and all that to the end organs. So when the heart pumps, that first beating, the first reading you get is what you call the systolic. That's the upper figure. Then the down one is the diastolic. When the heart relaxes in between beats, that's where you have the diastolic. So once it's above 120, 80 millimeter mercury, you're talking hypertension. But not just in one visit. It has to be like 2 or 3 occasions, different occasions, not the same day, before you can say this person is hypertensive, if it's above 120, 80.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, well, are there other ways to break it down, at least for people who don't understand these terms, these medical terms?
Okay, basically...
Just a very, very, very subtle way to talk to
man.
Okay, when you say systolic, it's just that when your heart beats, boom, is pumping out blood. So that force, that pressure in the vessels is the one that is the systolic, the first one. Then when it now relaxes to allow the heart to feel as blood is coming back from the rest of the body into the heart, that pressure at that time, at that point in time when it's relaxed, is the underneath one, the diastolic. So those two are the ones that deal with the pressure, blood pressure, that give the blood pressure.
So we're saying hypertension now is when the pressure is higher?
Yeah, very high.
When it's higher?
Higher than 120, 80.
Okay.
Yes,
Now,
that's it.
so when people hear pressure, high blood pressure, next thing that goes to the mind is, oh yeah, I need to equate. He thinks a lot, he worries a lot, and some other things. But I think to an extent, I think it does not only, it's not only about worrying so much. So is it true that worrying so much causes high blood pressure? And what other things cause high blood pressure?
Okay, basically, there are 2 types of hypertension. You have the primary one, which is also known as essential. That one, the cause is not known. And that's the majority, about 90% of people have that. Then the other one is the secondary one, where there's a cause, maybe kidney issue or pregnancy or drugs. Now, but under the essential, there's some things you call risk factors. There's some things that when they're there, it increases the chances of having high blood pressure. Number 1 is obesity. And number 2 is increasing age. As people age, the pressure, you know, the arteries narrow with sclerosis and atherosclerosis and all that. And then also smoking, alcohol intake, and physical inactivity. Those are factors, risk factors that can point to that. Then coming back to when people worry a lot. Yes, stress has a place, but that doesn't mean it causes it, but it can worsen it. Yeah, psychosocial stress can worsen it. Then even socioeconomic status has something to do with hypertension. Because, you know, people in the lower economic status may not be able to afford their medications, even may not even go for the checks that they need to go for to be able to identify that they have it and then get treated.
Okay, now I want to ask, why is hypertension often missed until it's too late? Why is it that there's just that thing about it that you hardly ever know until it's too late. Are there no symptoms? Why is it like that?
You know, it's called the silent killer because you don't get to have symptoms. You don't feel anything. You feel your normal self. Before someone has symptoms, know that the BP is way above 180 over 120. It's into the hypertensive crisis area. Okay, so is a silent killer. It's symptomless. It doesn't have symptoms. Yeah, so symptoms only come in when it's very, very high and it's entering into the hypertensive crisis zone.
Wow.
The person now gets the headaches, the pressure at the back of the head, the frontal headaches, and then other things like vision issues, and dizziness.
Wow. And you know the surprising thing, these days now, just like you said, age actually contributes to it. But these days, I think I've seen someone that is around 25 that has blood pressure.
You know, these days, currently, our lifestyle has changed. We don't do a lot of physical activity. You know, you can enter a bus and then probably the bus driver doesn't drop someone at the bus stop. Hey, you fair, and the person is shouting. Outside there, people can stop like 2 bus stops away from where they're going to and then walk. You know, physical inactivity is a problem. Then our diet is also an issue. And then currently, a lot of young people are into drugs. Surprisingly, a lot of people take cannabis, they smoke it, and they smoke a lot of stuff. Things that can increase their blood pressure. And then people, their health-seeking behavior is not really optimal. People don't go for checks, and then they source medications from sources that are not right, and then they take medications they're not supposed to take together, and then they have issues. So these days, our society is fraught with a lot of factors that tend to make people have
blood pressure.
High blood pressure.
I mean, it's just so horrible that there are no symptoms, just like you said. Because what I would have asked was, at least, how does someone start to perceive that, you know, what are things that you could just see that will signal you? Because talking about health, going for routine checks and all of that, it's something that a lot of Nigerians don't do. And I don't even know if you can blame them. A lot of them, can't afford it. So, for a lot of people, it's not something you can be doing every now and then. You go to the hospital and check yourself. We are used to until the thing is out of control. Even for malaria and typhoid and these ones that we see, you just cannot get yourself to go to the hospital. I remember there was a time I was feeling sick and I called my siblings and we were talking about it and they said, go for tests, go for tests. I said, God. Because I mean, at the time, to be very honest, it's not like I didn't have the money to go for tests that particular time, but it's just not in my nature. Any small thing, you go for tests. Most of the times, if you feel some type of way, we even diagnose sicknesses for ourselves.
Malaria.
We self-diagnose.
Malaria.
Typhoid. The highest we'll do is to go to a chemist by the road and say, okay, we'll even tell them, mix this one, mix these things for me.
But you talked about going for health checks that is expensive, but for hypertension, it's very highly affordable.
Okay.
Just BP measurement. You can walk into any pharmacy. I think with just 200 naira, you can sit down and they check.
It's actually
200 and they check your BP. And you can do that like twice a week. And you know this year's team, 2025 team says, measure your BP accurately, control it, and live longer. That's the team for this year. So measuring accurately entails that once you walk into the pharmacy, you don't just sit down and they start doing it. The person has to rest for like at least 5 minutes, you know, and it's seated upright. The legs are not crossed. The legs have to be, you know, both on the floor. And then the clothing is not a long sleeve because the cuff has to be on the arm. So you don't do it on top of the cuff. And you don't have to roll up and put some pressure up here. So the short sleeve or sleeveless is best. And then the person is seated and the cuff is placed and the measurement is taken. It's cheap enough. And it's not something that is painful. It's not, you don't need a needle prick for people that are afraid of that. You know, these checks, you check it once in a while, like once a week, twice a week, depending on values you get. And once you see it going up, you go and see a physician and they'll get to know what to do.
Yeah, I think, another thing I think is, just like you said, we Nigerians, we need to like change our mindset when it comes to visiting hospitals. Hospitals, you're not condemned when you have to go to hospital. Some people think that anything that takes them to the hospital is okay, life is about to shatter, something like that. So I think we need to change our mind to understand that you have to visit the hospital. It's just like going to church, if you ask me. when you feel somehow, go to the hospital, see a doctor, and you'll be better. It saves you a lot.
I personally think that there's this frustration. There's this frustration with our medical system in the country, with our healthcare system.
We have that, actually.
I hate the hospital. I hate it.
Yeah.
I don't like to be in the environment. And not just because I don't want to get well or anything. The few times I've been there, before you go the card, before you do this and do that, there's just a whole lot so frustrating. So the thought of, if I want to go to the hospital to do something, I just condemn my whole day.
Yes.
I just know that my whole day is gone. So I think that's part of the issue. So it just gives them that mindset that, and I want to ask you this. If we're going to check the rate of deaths that has happened due to high blood pressure or hypertension, what is the key factor that we're going to blame? Are we going to blame ignorance? Because I just found out now that it's 200 naira. You know, so it means there are lots of people out there who don't know that it's very easy to get these things done. So is it a case of ignorance? Is it a case of hospitals being unable to provide solutions when they should? What do we blame these deaths on? In as much as hypertension is a silent killer, but what exactly takes the blame?
I think the blame won't go to just one area or one factor or one issue.
Okay, percentage, please.
I may not be able to give you a percentage. You have to do research before you can say this percentage or that.
Okay.
But it's a mixture. Both lack of knowledge on the part of the public, lack of awareness on the part of the public, and then also all the bureaucratic bottlenecks you get in the hospitals. But that's why they call them patients. You have to be patient enough to wait for things to be done for you. But that doesn't mean that the hospitals should be lax in what they are doing. And I know there are a lot of hospitals out there that are really coming up in all that they do, because I work in the hospital. So it's a mixture. So the essence of this World Hypertension Day is for people to be aware. At least you can walk into a pharmacy, do a check first on your BP, and know what is and then another thing, this seeking behavior. You know, most times they attribute it to villagers, in quotes. You know,
okay.
So we have to change our mindset to know that some of these things is not because. Is like I told you, there's a percentage, a lot of 90% is you don't know the cause. You know, a family background, genetics plays a role. The fact that you're a black race is also a risk factor. The male gender is also a risk factor. So those are factors that you can't modify. But the other ones that can be modified, like obesity and all that. So it's a whole lot of mixture. It calls for people to be aware and then improve on their health-seeking behavior and do the checks first. If there's an issue, you can now battle with it, going to hospital and all that.
And also, you've talked about lifestyle, so improve their lifestyle.
Yeah, and when you talk about lifestyle, you're talking about physical activity, and physical activity, like 150 minutes of activity in a week. You can break it up.
Okay.
You can do 3 times a week, but do at least 2.5 hours.
Every day?
Every week. No, not every day.
2.5 hours
within a week, yes.
What kind of physical activities?
Yeah, like walking is perfect. Okay. Walking. Swimming is also okay. That's if you can swim, so you don't drown. And then those are basically the cycling is also okay. But before anybody embarks on that, especially if the person is quite elderly, to be good to visit, for the ones that already have issues with their BP, to visit the physician, and then they'll know the correct type of exercises they can embark on. Even the physiotherapist can tell them correct what to embark on. So walking is perfect, swimming is okay, cycling is okay. So there are exercises people can really do to be active so that they don't get obese. Then diet too, there's something called DASH diet, dietary approach to stopping hypertension. It means a diet that is rich in fruits and vegetables, a high fiber diet that includes potassium, and then you get the calcium from the low fat dairy, that's milk that doesn't have a lot of fat in it. So that's the kind of diet. Then restricting salt. You know, after cooking, you don't go adding extra salt. And then the quantity of salt is like, if you have a teaspoon, if you share the teaspoonful into 3, 2 parts in a day is what you're supposed to consume. That's 2/3 of a teaspoonful. That would give you like 1,500 milligrams of sodium chloride. So that's what...
this lifestyle thing. This lifestyle thing.
Especially in Nigeria with the economy. And how everything is going to be hard to measure the salt thing. Because I can remember my mom, when she first visited the hospital about that, the whole salt thing. The doctor asked how much Maggi do you use to cook your salt and all this. And funny enough, we don't use those things at home.
Okay.
You know, we don't actually do so much. My mom is one person that can cook and bring down her pot. She will test it. It's very nice, and she don't add any extra artificial ingredients to it. So it was a kind of, we raised eyebrow. How is it related to what she was going to, but thankfully she's better.
Thank God you've raised this particular subject matter. There's been this debate between salt and Maggi.
Okay.
Some people are of the opinion that salt would make one more prone to hypertension or high blood pressure. Meanwhile, stock cubes are healthier because they're just flavor. Actually, yes. So wait, see, I'm not saying we've had the mindset from the onset that it's not natural, so it's not healthy. But the time came where the argument shifted, and we started hearing that it is more healthy than salt in particular. So we'll have her talk about it.
No, it's not a matter of it being healthier. Everything, it depends on the quantity you're adding. For instance, if you're the type you like cooking with stock cubes, you may not need to add salt again, because those stock cubes have quite
high sodium.
High sodium,
Okay.
yeah, they do. So you may not need to add. Or if you balance it so that you don't take more. Like if you're cooking and you taste it and the salt is okay, just keep it at that. And on the table, don't add extra salt.
Extra salt.
Okay, so we're not saying one is healthier than the other?
No.
Okay, but are we now saying that, are we agreeing with the narrative that, stock cubes, because it is not so natural, then there's something wrong with it? I just want us to end the...
I would really go for that.
Should I explain?
No, I want her to speak now. Do you agree with the mindset?
Because, before you agree with some things, there has to be a research. Because evidence-based, a lot of things are evidence-based before you can say this is wrong or this is right.
Okay.
Evidence based on data and research, rigorous ones.
Okay. So, go ahead.
Okay. So,
enlighten us, Ma.
So, actually, my project this final year is based on that. I intentionally want to do that because of some other things around it. Now, when it comes to cube, it has a single cube has over 8 types of sodium in one cube. So it's literally a lot of cubes, a lot of sodium compared to using salt. So if you know how to use just salt without seasoning cube, I think it's more advisable. I wouldn't want to go for that.
We'll not talk about quantities now.
No. If you can be able to cook, it depends on the person. There are people that don't know how to, they wouldn't be able to create that flavor they want unless they add seasoning cubes to it. Okay. So I feel if you know how to use other natural spices to cook, including your salt, it is far better for you than using stock cubes.
Okay.
For stock cubes, we have a lot of sodium, like I said, and some are produced in the lab. So it's not even it's not brought out from natural sources. It is produced artificially in the lab, which also poses extra risk as well.
Okay, that's nice. So my final question is this. We talked about symptoms, and you said that usually when the symptoms show up is when the thing has gotten extreme. So at that point now, can anything be done, or is the person just condemned?
No. Okay. The person is not condemned. A lot can be done at that point. There are medications. Aside the medications, the person also has to adopt those lifestyle modifications, including medications. There are lots of medications, classes of medications, that are quite affordable. And then based on an individual's characteristics, they will know the particular medication to place on them. But for us that are blacks, there's a class of medication that we always need to have attached to our BP medications, and that's the diuretics, the ones that make you pee. Because blacks are volume-dependent people, so we need to always have that attached to our medications. So there are drugs. It's not a life sentence at all.
Okay.
Can be managed.
Definitely. And yeah, the word is managed. It's not treatable. So people don't just start taking your medications and you say, oh, my BP is okay. It's been okay for the past 1 week, so I have to stop. No. You keep taking your medications and you keep going for your checkups and keep, checking the BP to ensure that it's still okay. And then for anybody that is hypertensive, needs to keep a logbook. I checked it today, this is the value. I checked it. So before you go to see the physician or the healthcare professional managing you, you carry that book. They know, okay, this is where you are. This is how it has been. So they know how to manage it properly.
Wow. Okay. So I don't know. Any final words for our viewers?
Okay.
Today, that is Hypertension Day.
I'll just say, please, let's all go out there and get our blood pressures checked. And we know where we are and get help. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was quite enlightening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was Fam Ola Onunka, a pharmacist who has just joined us to give us more insight on World Hypertension Day. And I'm sure you've heard all that has been said. Please do yourself a favor, do your health a favor. Ensure that you get routine checks. It's cheap. It's 100 naira, 200 naira. Just make sure that you are fine. And of course, learn to watch what you eat, how much salt you consume, how much Maggi you put in your food, all of you. Thank you so much one more time. Up next on the AM Weekend Show is our second conversation about tech. It's a conversation we started last week, like I said, a very interesting one that you do not want to miss. But before we get into it, we'll take a quick trip to the gym. Don't go anywhere.